Hi, I'm Todd with Red Hand Studios. We're working on some builds this month for some upcoming theatrical projects for Maelstrom the Zombie Opera and Young Frankenstein the Musical at 2nd Street Theater. And I'm currently waiting for some bits and pieces to come in on order for a few of the props from Amazon.com. So in the meantime, I thought we'd take a break and show you how to make some useful tools for fabricating props. So today we're going to be taking various grades of sandpaper, and we're going to be taking some paint stirring sticks, and I'm going to show you how to make your own sanding tools. So one of the first things you want to do is take out your paint stick and get a chunk of sandpaper. This is some 80 grit 3M sandpaper, and figure out roughly how much of this you're going to need. I'm going to fold this over the stick and cut it out along the lines, and that should give me enough to put one sanding stick together. I'm going to go ahead and press down here a little bit to put a crease in the paper so I know where my overlap is. And then I'll use a straight edge here. I'm going to use a metal one because if I use the stick, which is made out of wood, to cut this, there's a good chance I'm just going to run the razor blade right down that and splinter it. So I'm using an old razor blade that I don't care much about to cut. Make a nice score through there. And then, as you can see, we have a double layer of sandpaper, which will leave just a bit of the stick on the edge exposed, which is fine. Now I've got some contact cement that I'm going to apply to both the stick and the sandpaper using a cheap chip brush. The thing with contact cement is you want to apply it to both of the things that you're trying to adhere together, and then give it 8 to 15 minutes to kind of tack up a little bit so that it'll actually stick and adhere. And then don't actually use this for about a day, or it will just peel off the stick. You have to give it some time to actually cure. So I'm marking an edge on the stick here with a pencil to let me know where I actually need to glue and where I don't. Get a good brush full, but not super drippy. And sometimes you might want a couple of layers worth of glue. Sometimes you don't. It just depends. You want to get a nice sticky gooey layer on there, but not super thick. And then I'm going to do the same thing on 1/2 of the strip of sandpaper on the non-sand surface, on the paper surface. And through the magic of editing, we will wait a few minutes and come back and deal with this. In the meantime, I'm going to cut up a couple extra sticks worth of sandpaper and keep at it. So now that the glue is tacked up on both the paper and the stick, we'll go ahead and let them both touch. Now, contact cement will stick almost instantly once it's tacky and isn't going to let go. So you got to take your time and line this up right and try and get the air bubbles out of it as you're going. Press down, but again, it's sandpaper, so if you do this, you're going to sand your fingerprints off. I'm not suggesting you do that so you can commit crimes, but that is a possibility. And now it's glued onto one side. So now I'm going to take the bare side and put some contact cement there, and then on the paper, and then fold it over. And also on the spine of the wood right here. I want to make sure and get some glue put on that. Now, it probably would have been easier to use a spray glue like Super 77 spray adhesive, but that stuff's kind of expensive, and this is a little bit cheaper, even though more time consuming. So just like we did with the first layer, I'm going to let that sit for a moment, and then we'll come back and fold everything over and have a sanding stick. All right, and there we have 2 sanding sticks built. And I'm going to go ahead and write on the paddles 80 grit. So that way I will know what grade of sandpaper they are, because I'm going to make some more in 120 grit and probably some 60 grit. So once these are made, now you can get into smaller areas like with your craft foam, where you can see it's a little bit rough right there, but I want to have an angle on it. And start smoothing the edges out. Or, like with the armor piece that's currently being worked on Sven here, you can get in and work on some areas that might be a little bit difficult to get into otherwise, and start sanding on that. All right, there you go. Go forward and make your own tools.